Yeah, love it.
Welcome back, councillors, staff. So, as we closed for lunch, we articulated a number of options. There's potentially a fourth option that could be floated, and that was that we defer a decision around funding at today's meeting and allow the members of the RADF committee to work with this group to see whether there was a possibility of changing the scope slightly of this event and securing having an event that might be more conducive to the RADF and obviously finding a incorporated body a bit more compliant full stop. So rather than denying or approving the offer, with the Deputy Mayor's volunteered to and obviously the other RADF councillors, I think there's only two of you, isn't there? Councillor Arthur and yourself.
And Councillor.
Oh, three, sorry. To work with the group and see whether there's anything we can do that might make it compliant with policy, but also something that suits a RADF application more. Because as it currently stands, it probably doesn't really fit within the scope, but a slightly changed event may. So that's a fourth option for you to consider, councillors. Otherwise, I'm back in your hands, back where I started. I'll start with Councillor Hanson.
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Gleeson.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor, you asked.
Yeah, through the deputy. Through the deputy.
Madam Deputy, I feel as though that fourth option may have been. I'm not in favour of that option at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Peoples, have you got anything to say about it, or?
I think I'd be in favour of the fourth option to give them a bit more time to come up with some other solution there, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Councillor, where are we at? Arthur.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I know it's the first community grant that's come to us under the new policy. I'm not sure. I'm not supportive of it as it stands, but I'm not sure whether we either got the information that we need to use for the assessment criteria as well, because we've got the five criteria that, to my mind, would then go into a matrix or something to say, right, you get a score of 78 or you get a score of 56. So maybe there's a mechanism there that we need to put in place for it to come full circle when it comes back to us. But yeah, happy to look at a change to it to see if it could fit somewhere else.
Councillor Plum.
Mr. Mayor, would you be able to put up option 4 on?
I haven't worded it yet, Councillor Plum, but option 4 is that council defers a decision to provide assistance until further conversations are held between the group in question and councillors on the RADF committee.
Yep, that sounds like a good idea.
Are we happy enough that that's where it could sit for now? It's a very non-committal resolution.
As long as we take the lead, we take the
Mr. Mayor, I think Angela wants to talk to you.
Oh, sorry, Angela.
Oh, sorry, I don't think, based on the information provided here, that it would meet RADF criteria.
No, we know that. We're saying go to them and see if they'd be happy to amend it in such a way as to make it some workshop and incorporate some different activities, make it a bit more cultural.
Thank you.
rejigging the whole thing.
And then we'll get from the committee whether there's an intent to want to work with council, because, like, to be fair, it is a very, very significant sum of money. I'm not aware of too many other times we would have approved $8,000 for a community group event in one-off assistance. Like, it's officers help me, but I wouldn't think we'd do that very often. A couple of big ones around the Tree of Knowledge, a couple of 5s and 6s. Couple of big in-kind ones, one around the Alpha races last year. There's a few, but they're so few and far between that I think we need to make sure we get this right. Not only because we are really trying to improve our application of policy, but there's reasons why that policy is written the way it is, and it could be changed. But the things like the benefit for community business, the need for the money, you know, what money do, how important is this financial assistance? Could we run it without our assistance? Those sort of questions there's a reason why they're in the policy. So that council can allocate its money in the most advantageous way possible. Now, I haven't provided commentary about this particular event because I don't think that's the problem, the style of the event as it is. But if there's a way that it can be changed, as the Deputy Mayor suggested, through RADF, then that could really lower council's exposure anyway from a financial perspective. So council returns to the May Day committee to determine other options for funding and to meet policy requirements. Delete all of that from there down because we're definitely not doing that.
I just left it there for people
Yeah.
to say that.
No, get rid of it because no one supports that.
I'm happy with returns to the May Day committee. I would council prefers the decision and consults with May Day.
Yeah, I think going there, the council defers a decision and returns to the May Day committee to determine other options for funding and to meet policy requirements.
You're not putting RADF in there.
No, because there might be another option that we can't think of. And they may not be prepared to morph it, they may want that style, so then we might have to look at it.
Yep.
Okay, councillor Peppers.
Yeah, I'm fine, Mr. Mayor.
Gleeson? Yes. Manson? Plum? Someone move? Plum, Rogers? Debate? The none, those in favour? 7-0. Anyway, can I have somebody move 391, information report, community engagement coordinator be received? Councillor Arthur, second Councillor Plum, those in favour, carried 7-0. Rating reports about out of Abington,
Yes,
apart from how cold it was.
we didn't get a big crowd, but definitely the music was beautiful and it was a good evening, apart from the cold.
We toured the council area in 3 different pieces though. We had a massive event Alpha, we had a big event culturally at the showground, sporting, and then this, so yeah, so it's pleased that some people can still set up and make it. Some really good social media reviews.
Yes, and Mr. Mayor, everyone raved about them. They really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's great.
Potentially something, if they tour again, maybe something that we can sponsor again.
Questions for Angela, please?
Mr. Mayor, Edge, the borough backup, it's definitely going ahead.
It is, yes.
Because I know we got minutes of the last meeting, they were saying they couldn't get. So I just wondered whether it was going to affect, but it is going ahead.
They found a solution.
Oh, that's great.
And as part of the borough backup, we'll be doing the presentation for the Australian Day Awards. So we have Kerry Robinson, who is our Citizen of the Year. And it's also her birthday on that day too. And the Smiths as well. So they were recognition for their volunteer work. So we are trying to find other solutions for Elford, Jericho and Buckleton to present those awards. But the Jericho Bush Bash is where we're going to do Kim Ford's presentation. We'll keep working on that.
So, who is attending Munabarra on Saturday?
I was hoping to.
On the same on Tribe? I'm right, I think I'm still 4 days away, a lot can happen, but I'm right.
What time is it, Ed?
Unfortunately, I couldn't get an exact time for the presentation, so the actual reversing competition starts at 11. Kerry thought it'd be around 3:30 that they're doing the presentation, but it depends on how many registrations they have. And then they're having dinner and singers a singer at the Marlborough Memorial Hall that night too, so it goes into the evening.
Correct. All right, well, if any of you are going, we will communicate out of session. There was a question of notice, I think last meeting might have been answered, or maybe the meeting before, about what we were doing, or maybe it was just a question direct to me about Australia Day presentations. Angela's just answered that, we are.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor, to clarify, it was my question. It was more so about the notification, like, our official notification to the recipients of the awards. Like, I just had one of the recipients come to me and say that other than stuff on social media, they hadn't had too much direct interaction from council. I just want to clarify. Maybe they forgot that they got a phone call, or I'm not sure. But and I know there have been some delays with COVID and a lot of other stuff for us to have an award ceremony. But I just want to make sure that once we made those awards public, that we reached out individually to thank them. Or have we given? We haven't given out certificates already. We're waiting for the. We have.
No, we haven't given out any certificates. There was the initial conversation to say that the presentations weren't going ahead and that we would be looking at alternative dates.
Yep.
And a bit of time has lapsed between that. But anyone that is receiving, so Muttaburra and Jericho people have been notified, and I have had a Barcaldine person ask me, which I responded to them.
Yep. Got it.
Further questions? It feels like home photo comp. How many entries?
We had 72 from memory.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, the Get Ready Queensland Zoom meeting, was that just about, was that they're just giving you information on what was available?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the Get Ready Queensland program, they have quarterly updates for all the councils, and they talk through dates and upcoming events, and they also share what councils are doing so that you can get an idea of what you can do with the Get Ready money and different events that they have. So it's quite beneficial session to go to.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, but does that have anything, is the Celebrating Queensland funding, is that part of that? Queensland Day, it's the $10,000 funding for Celebrating Queensland Day. Is that in part of that, or is it separate?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware that it is Rogers. I think it must be separate from
Yeah. So I was wondering whether council was going to apply for that funding or also, through you, Mr. Mayor, the meeting with Morgan about the Barclay Red opening was to do with the opening or?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it was, a number of items were discussed at that meeting, including the potential opening, signage, getting the trails, signposts ready for the trail was discussed.
Because I had some
There's
people.
access
yeah,
along the gates or grids.
Yeah.
running, accessibility, so it's
Yeah.
a few wet spots.
Yeah.
That'll make that
Oh,
so.
when, yeah, they're wet to try to get down there. I had some people that saw the big signs at the front and they were asking me about it and they were wondering whether there was any big, like, did they have a competition or did they have any open days or something? I'm not aware, is there actually an incorporated group yet? It's just, it's not really a group, so they can't really run a show yet.
It's kind of not the intent behind it. It's more of a just do your own adventure sort of thing. It's not a racing format per se.
Or yeah, like an open day thing where they, I told them, so there wasn't really a group to do it.
Questions?
Through Mr. Mayor, I know you just spoke about it a while ago, but I think I missed some of it. The tree planting, the planting of the trees, isn't it $10,000? Somewhere I saw from David Littleproud, government,
It was in the incoming correspondence, there's a letter there about 10 grand.
it was 10. And this is another 10, 5 plus 5.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Gleeson, we applied for 5 and then the council funds 5. In the correspondence, it's the Aramac State School also got 5,200.
Yeah, $5,000 grant, 22 large shade trees. That came from David Littleproud's office, page 9.
So, is there multiple recipients of the grant?
The tree planting across Barkey
Just
Ridge,
those two.
10,250. Aramac State School will use their 5,250 grant to plant 22 large shade trees for students. The Barkey Aged Care Res Village will plant trees along Bohemia Street with their $5,000 grant.
So that's additional, they're additional to this.
No.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's, so, David Littleproud's office had 100,000
Yep.
across his
I see.
electorate.
This is part of that.
Yeah, so
Thank you. That's
you
all.
had to go through 2 stages. So it was an expression of interest through his office. And then the successful applicants went into the federal pool and we had to apply for that through the federal portal.
Thank you.
This is that 5 plus 5 is 5 from him and 5 from us, and then on top of that, Aramac have got 5,200 of their own. Aramac State School. Could I just respectfully suggest that when we're planning, no doubt, Buckhorn Aged Care will know what they're doing in our garden crew, but can we just, when we're planning along Bohemia Street, bear in mind that the southern side of Bohemia Street is our town expansion area, and it'd be a terrible shame to have to put bulldozers through these trees if they were planted somewhere where we may want to put a cul-de-sac off or a street running north-south. So I'm sure that the area is already identified, I'm just putting it out there.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it'll just be one side of the street.
Northern or
Street
southern?
That's northern. Yeah. And then it'll go along near Mahogany Court as well. So we've used the tree policy, so they'll be 20 metres apart, and we've worked all of that out.
I was just about to mention the tree policy.
Yeah, so the tree policy has been taken into consideration when the application went through.
I noted a very interesting signpost yesterday in town, scrub pulling chain laying on the side. Considering his house that was outside, I've had a very big smile to myself. You know who too, right. Resolution 392. Council accepts the committee recommendation to approve the application from the Buckhorn Cultural Association for the amount of $3,132 for the mobile jewellery tutor silversmithing workshop. Do I have a mover? Councillor Rogers, seconded Councillor Arthur. Debate. Those in favour? 7-0. I move that Council approves the attendance of all councillors at the 22 Bush Councils Convention. Now, you may not be available, you may not know whether you're available, you may intend to be here for one part of it. Additional solutions covers the fact that you may want to drop in, have a look at a session, give me a hand to host some dignitaries, pick up someone at the airport, whatever. Do I have a seconder? Gleeson, those in favour? Motion carried, 7-0. Angela, District Managers, thank you. Consultation has occurred, feedback is duly noted. Recommendation is Alpha Show, Alpha Township, Jericho, Barcaldine and Aramac Township, Westec, Muttaburra, Melbourne Cup. Anyone wish to debate the clear consensus from the community on this issue? They do not. Does someone want to move it? Councillor Plum, seconder. Councillor Hanson, formal debate. We're crystal clear on what we're voting on. Officers have got no problems with this. Feedback received other than digital. Angela? Oh, sorry.
Mr Mayor, should I be moving this?
Your benefit in this is no greater than that of anyone else. Oh, did you move it? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, no, it's a public holiday. Everyone in the community gets a public holiday at some point, so no.
You don't get any advantage out of it.
No, nor does your community either.
No.
Did you have something you wish to add? Sorry.
No, Mr Mayor, I
What?
think, that's the feedback that I've received and they're the votes, so.
Yeah, I mean, the only ones that was in any way close was Jericho for Melbourne Cup and Westec. Those in favour? 7-0. And questions on notice. Could I have somebody move that we receive the responses from the May and June meetings, please? Councillor Plum, second Councillor Peebles. Questions answered? More follow-up questions required before we go to new questions, please?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I may not have been clear, but my question about the Barkey Red, it was more so to do with the stakeholder engagement up to this stage. Like, I just had some common users ask me a few questions about how many meetings they had, whether that wasn't communicated through the committee, but I just wanted a better gauge on what we as council had done. Like if we, because I know I attended at least one meeting with the Common Committee, and then I thought there was another one to happen. Whether that happened or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, I just would like to be, so that I was happy that we'd done a reasonable amount of work, and especially with the other common users, the botanical garden. I know the botanical garden walk isn't up and functioning, but they're still a stakeholder in the common usages. Yeah, I would just like a little bit more information about.
So that's a new question around what the timeframes, timelines, and styles of consultation that have occurred to date.
That's probably a better forming of the question on that, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Please, I could be of some assistance
Then
today.
my gibber.
Councillor Peebles.
Mr Mayor, can I just say thanks to the CEO for expressing some gratitude to the Titans for what they did for that
Mr. Mayor.
football carnival. Mr Mayor, thanks very much for that, Mr Mayor. And they did a good job for us.
I think I said in that report only one, but it was actually, there was two directors at a function I was at, and I sought them out and passed on the gratitude of not only our locals, but regional kids all over Queensland for access to their facility.
Yeah, no, they weren't going to get a game if they hadn't stepped in. It was great. The plumber position in Arran, where do we get with that? You still haven't addressed it? Okay, well, I'll wait for something down the track. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Gleeson.
Well, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Hanson.
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Who asked the question about we've provided the map there, who asked that question?
Councillor Gleeson.
Gleeson, does that, sorry to go back a step here, but does that provide you with some?
Definitely, yeah, I asked the question, Mr Mayor, I asked the question about travelling stock, where do they go?
Does that answer you, like, is that clear enough? That map?
There is a vacant line, I think, from going up along the railway line. It is narrow yellow, isn't it, going up from the railway line, and then it broadens. How do you cross the railway line and walking stock come in from Aramac?
They can follow the railway line down.
Yeah, right down to Arnie's Lane. Thank you for bringing that up again. They follow Arnie's Lane down, and then and then they got to walk back up the main road through the town common back to the highway.
To go where? If they're going from Aramac to Blackhall?
Yeah.
Correct, yes, that is correct. If I interpret that map, that's right, yeah.
Oh, I never even looked at it, sorry.
And then, so,
But skip right over to there, so to get the green and where the purple is on your map. If you were walking animals to Blackwall, you'd have to walk them back down along the main road, back down towards the rubbish dump.
correct, where the blue line goes.
Yeah, that blue line, just sort of.
The blue line is how you would, that's how you bypass Blackhall.
Thank you.
If you just note slightly to the west of Harney's Lane, there's a blip above the railway line. There's a little invert in the fence there. That's to allow you to have room to marshal stock across the rail line. I've been out and had a look at that particular thing yesterday afternoon.
So that's where you've got to cross the rail line.
Yep. Councillor Arthur, questions on that?
Thank you.
No, sorry, it was just clarification of last month. When I asked about water usage, I meant as not the individual allocation, but the town allocations and town usages.
Sorry.
Again, I'm pretty sure that was me being unclear last month.
Well, we've got that, so that's good. Though I did like that figure to know that, but yes, if we just have a look at the total count.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
minutes of work. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nothing to find there.
I was really impressed with the
The usages against individual allocation.
yeah, well, and notwithstanding that we had a
Good wet.
well,
Reasonable wet.
we had a good start to summer, but we did have that 2.5 months of baking hot weather. That I would have thought consumption would have been at nearly an all-time high for that. Obviously, there was enough of a period either side of that where we didn't need high consumption. So I reckon that'll be one of our better figures, annual usage in terms of per allocation per residential user for a very long time.
Yep.
Like Barcaldens is well under, so that as the bigger population centre to be 500 kilolitres under allocation is a massive clawback from where we've been historically.
Mr. Mayor, what I'll do is to keep that data consistent in terms of how we're collecting it. The guy applied some basic thought to it. That was about it. But if we're going to keep that consistent, I'll just make sure that we're capturing the same data consistently.
Good. Very good. Further questions on notice? Councillor Plum?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Rogers?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So I just wanted to ask, with the fogging, it says that waiting on the community to advise the best time. Does that just mean that when the community decides they're getting hammered with mosquitoes, they just ring the office and ask for that? Or how does, when it says waiting on the community to advise the best time, does that mean just when someone rings up and says we've got a lot of mosquitoes, it just happens? Or, because when community asks me when is it happening, do I just advise them, ring the office and tell them that you need fogging, or how does it work?
I would say yes. They need to contact the district manager.
And just say that we need fogging? Yes.
To you, Mr. Mayor, I think one of the conversations with the RLO around that, the only one who's licensed to do it, is the timing isn't right with all the waters and the potential rains, and the timing hasn't been right either. So and it's there, but then that officer's availability to be able to do it as well.
It'd be interesting to point out the consult community to warn them to do it.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, too, we had, that was one of the major circumstances with the ongoing rain, and it was also then trying to incorporate our staff then to start doing the fogging of it. The other side of it is they did do some, I know for the Jericho School with the creek there right beside it, they actually did some of that, did put out some of the larvae sort of stuff they put out to try and control that a bit too. Yeah.
That's good to know, 'cause if they ask, is anything being done, I can let them know, yeah.
But it's normally better for them to contact,
Yeah.
district managers. Yep.
I did have someone ask about camp draft. Councillor Gleeson might be able to answer. They were just talking about all the hay that was all out over on the grass. I don't know, is it gone? Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
gone.
I checked that yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, so I just told them that it would be the camp draft would clean it up. So they were wondering, they were like saying, you know, that council would be responsible. Obviously, it's all been cleaned up.
Looks, I've checked it in advance of complaints. It's very good. Councillor Gleeson? That's not what you're going to talk about. You're not answering questions because there's questions on notice. You don't debate or discuss. Go to your own question.
I just want to go back to the stock route. Back to the stock route. With the, for years, the animals have walked in and walked where the ski park is now. When you look at the map there, was it a gazetted stock route or was it just?
Yes.
It was a gazetted stock route coming into the back of town and going around there.
We applied to close it when we applied to build the rec park. The previous council applied to close it when we freeholded those parcels of land there and we closed the route and shifted it to the west.
So, I don't mean to be complicated, but in saying that, where that blue line is, walking along the road, that is just walking along the common fence, the common Patrick fence.
Yeah, but it is a gazetted route.
It is a gazetted route down past the 6 mile, down past it is.
I'm confident it is, Jenny.
Yes.
That's the gazetted route.
To you, Mr. Mayor, that map was provided by the department to me. They just did a Queensland Globe map. That's all they have. They don't have an official map. That's what they provided me.
So why it's wider in those areas is that it's indicating reserves and lanes. The green does not indicate stock route, the blue line is the stock route.
The blue line is now the stock route.
Well, to be fair, the blue line always was the stock route. It's just that bit now from the the Landsborough Highway at the Rec Park entrance to the south, as it was taken away, and the remainder stayed. We never shifted it per se. That was always an option. It was just that the closer to town option was there for stock travelling north-south or south-east.
So walking stock into town from the south have to go around, right around the common.
Correct.
Yeah. Good job we didn't try and walk Caroline around the campsite. Instead of walking in from Crichton in 2 days, it would have taken us 4.
But you can always apply to come through.
Sorry.
You can always apply to, because you're bringing in
Could you apply for an exemption to come in?
Yeah, you need to talk to the CEO.
Thank you.
All right, I have some questions that have been raised with me by constituents. Town common fire breaks in all 5 communities. We could work on what our schedule of works would allow in that respect. And the Isisford Road, is it in the RMP schedule to be slashed? And if not, would it be possible to request that of TMR? Well, sorry, I'll rephrase that. Not request of TMR, do an internal needs analysis to see whether that we A, have the capacity to do it, and B, whether there is a sufficient demand. But it has been raised with me by road users out there that some slashing would be good. It may be in the schedule and it may be going to happen, it just hasn't yet.
This is Barkhall and Downs.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Sorry.
A few different names over the last couple of
Yes.
years, so let's clarify.
Okay, that's it from me. No more from anyone else?
That's right.
Oh, sorry, no, I do have one more. Sorry. A member of the public has asked me they would like to kickstart a park run in Barcaldine. She talked to me about this yesterday, and she'd like to use the rec park for the start and finish of it. There's an area crossing the bottom of Lagoon Creek just where the footpath on the western side, on the eastern side runs out, and it looks nice and dry in that Google Earth photo, but it's a little bit boggy when things have been running. She was wondering what we could do to, certainly not a sophisticated crossing, she's thinking just some gravel or dry material that would make it okay to run across. So where the red circle is on that map,
Are they going to run up here, across the?
they want to cross there and then around into the rec park and finish at the clubhouse.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, with this powerbank club I've been talking to, they're actually talking about getting 1,500 watt conveyor belting to lay down on the bank to give an extra boat route just on the lane to make things happen quicker. We might be able to reuse that conveyor belting as a temporary creek crossing at the same time, because I'm hoping to have that conveyor belting here when I do it before then.
I'll just leave it, that's a great suggestion, I'll just leave it as an item on notice, and I'll give the officers the name of the lady who's looking to run that event and what the requirements might be,
So it's copy the map or so.
and the email that's attached to it.
Mr Mayor, if that conveyor belting gets wet, it's going to be dangerous.
Some of it is, but some of it's not too. You can get some stuff that's already burnt up. I use it for horses.
I've got
Pretty
5
good.
tonne
Gets
of it
wet, don't get
sitting in-
slippery.
Oh, okay.
I've got 5 tonne of it sitting in the car, I'm just going to figure out how to get it here.
It's called a truck, Councillor Hanson. There's lots of them. They've been around for a while. You don't have to use a buggy and dray anymore.
You've got a truck, you're going to pick it up for me?
In my spare time, Councillor, I'll attend to that for you. All right, no further questions? Thank you, officers and councillors. Meeting is closed.